Picture a Tuesday night at a major chemical processing facility. High security, critical infrastructure. On paper, this is a fortress. The perimeter is guarded by a military-grade surveillance radar, expensive automated cameras, and a trained security officer armed with a portable radio frequency jamming gun. It feels completely impenetrable. Then the true crisis begins. A coordinated group of 20 hostile quadcopters approaches from 3 different directions. They are not flying high. They are separated, hugging the ground at 60 miles per hour, masked by trees and buildings. Within 40 seconds, the radar detects the first 2 targets. The software tries to swing the primary automated camera to lock onto one. The security officer grabs his jamming gun and runs to the roof. But suddenly, the entire display erupts into chaos. 10 more targets appear on the radar. Then 20. The automated camera swings wild, unable to decide which drone to track. The security officer aims his jamming gun at one incoming drone, but 3 others bypass him from the left. Another group drops over the facility's main storage tanks from the right. In exactly 120 seconds, it is over. Your entire multi-million-dollar security infrastructure did not just fail. It was mathematically overwhelmed. Your sensors were oversaturated. Your manual defense was saturated. And your facility was compromised. Welcome back to BlackBox UAV. Today, we are analyzing the terrifying engineering reality of drone swarm attacks on industrial infrastructure. We will break down exactly why traditional security radars cannot handle mass targets, why manual jamming is a dead technology against a coordinated group, and why autonomous IA drones have already rendered standard defenses obsolete. Pay very close attention. To build a defense, you must first build trust in your data. In most commercial systems, that trust is misplaced. Let us look at why. Modern surveillance radars are designed to detect movement. They are exceptionally good at tracking single, high-reflectivity targets like cars or people near a fence. When a drone enters the airspace, the radar's processing core creates a track and assigns a high confidence level that it is a mechanical threat. However, all radars have physical limits on angular resolution and target separation. When 20 drones fly in close coordination, the radar core cannot effectively perform target association. The software struggles to match new incoming radio reflections to existing tracks. One large group of drones often merges into a single, confusing target on the operator's screen. The algorithm starts to experience track swapping. The radar thinks target A is now target B, and target B has disappeared. To the software, it looks like a glitch. To the security operator, it looks like noise. To the facility's automation, it is an undefined system state. By the time the tracking loop stabilizes and confirms the massive threat, the drones are already descending over their targets. Now, let us analyze the supposed defense. The primary anti-drone weapon in the commercial market is the radio frequency jammer, often sold as a handheld gun. This technology is doomed from the start when facing a swarm crisis. Every directional jammer works by concentrating RF energy into a tightly focused cone, like a spotlight. This focus is physically necessary to have enough range to block the drone's radio link at a safe distance. The typical effective beam width of a manual jammer gun is less than 20 degrees. And this narrow beam is why your facility is undefended. When a coordinated attack approaches from 3 directions, the inverse square law of signal propagation means your security officer cannot be everywhere at once. If he aims his jammer at drone A, the specific frequency channel for that drone is flooded with noise. But drone B, drone C, and drone D, flying just 30 degrees to the side, are outside the cone of interference. Their radio receivers are completely clean. The jammer gun, even with high power, is physically useless against a distributed group. To counter this, some facilities install massive omnidirectional cupolar jammers that flood the entire airspace with noise. This creates 2 critical problems. First, your effective defensive range drops to practically nothing. The RF energy is spread in a full circle, making it too weak to stop drones at a distance. And second, you have just performed a self-inflicted cyber attack. Brute force jamming does not just stop drones. It completely wipes out your facility's internal communications, security radios, public cell service, and nearby Wi-Fi networks. This level of interference often violates international laws. But the true nightmare for any security director is that your outdated defense requires a radio link to exist. Modern industrial attackers are moving entirely away from manually piloted drones. They are deploying fully autonomous swarms powered by onboard artificial intelligence, or Edge AI. Let us break down what that means for your security perimeter. These autonomous drones do not maintain a continuous radio link with an operator. They do not transmit live video feeds back to a ground station. They fly along complex, predetermined pathways without relying on GPS satellites. How do they do this? They use a technology called Visual Inertial Odometry. Using only an onboard camera and a microchip, the lead drone physically looks at the ground. It maps the environment in real time, identifying your factory's chimneys, internal roads, and storage tanks. It then compares this live video feed to satellite maps stored deep in its memory. It knows exactly where it is simply by looking. The rest of the swarm just follows the leader, using short-range optical sensors to stay in perfect formation. Because they do not communicate with the outside world, these drones operate in total radio silence. A traditional RF scanner will show a perfectly clean screen. If you are a chief security officer and you pull the trigger on your expensive RF jamming gun, absolutely nothing happens. There is no remote control signal to interrupt. There is no GPS signal to spoof. The autonomous AI swarm is completely deaf and blind to your electronic warfare architecture. Your invisible digital wall is useless. The autonomous threat will fly straight through your perimeter, execute its mission, and leave. Your defense is obsolete before you even realize you are under attack. So, how do we solve a crisis that cannot be stopped by marketing brochures and generic security hardware? True drone swarm defense requires moving away from single-point sensors toward a decentralized, multi-layered sensor fusion network. You must stop relying solely on a single perimeter radar. Your security architecture requires passive optical and acoustic arrays to verify threats in real time. Where traditional radars fail to separate a swarm, high-definition automated cameras powered by machine learning can visually count the individual targets. At the same time, acoustic sensors, networks of highly sensitive microphones, can listen for the unique high-frequency sound of drone propellers. They completely ignore the radio silence of the attackers. When the radar, the camera, and the microphones all agree on the target, your system locks on without hesitation. Second, your mitigation strategy must shift from manual jamming to automated, intelligent responses. True counter-drone security requires automated protocol manipulation. This means your defense system hacks into the flight software of the incoming drones, taking over their controls and forcing them to land safely outside your gates. And for the drones that cannot be hacked, your infrastructure needs physical, non-kinetic interceptors. We are talking about autonomous hunter drones that launch high-speed nets to physically capture the swarm leaders in mid-air, neutralizing the threat without causing dangerous explosions over your facility. If you are protecting critical industrial infrastructure, generic alarms will not save your facility. Real security requires understanding the harsh physics of the modern threat. If you want to understand the deep engineering and the precise physical laws of drone defense, hit the subscribe button. Build a real defense based on real data. This is BlackBox UAV, and I will see you in the next analysis.